Hi, I'm Congresswoman Terry Sewell, and I'd like to welcome you to Alabama's 7th Congressional District Virtual Grants Workshop 2021. Today, we will hear from representatives from the United States Small Business Administration and the United States Department of Agriculture. The COVID-19 pandemic has left our nation's small businesses, communities, and families struggling to survive. Unfortunately, for the small towns and cities within Alabama's 7th Congressional District, the long-term effects of the pandemic have left many searching for resources. This was especially true of the small towns and businesses in the Black Belt, all looking for basic resources. An initial report from the business magazine Wallet Hub found that 87% of the businesses in Alabama were heavily affected by the pandemic, and 35% were sure that their businesses would close. I have worked diligently, along with my colleagues in Congress, to provide relief funds to support our communities, small businesses and families, including and especially those in Alabama's 7th Congressional District. Both the USDA and the Small Business Administration are federal agencies that offer a host of grant and loan opportunities that can help you individually and your businesses finance projects for your communities. It is my hope that convening this group of experts, our communities will get the tools that they need to take advantage of the critical grant funds available right now. At today's grant workshop, we will hear from Thomas Tope, Alabama District Office Director of the United States Small Business Administration, and Ivory Gordon, Alabama State Director of Rural Development for the United States Department of Agriculture. Mr. Gordon has worked in various capacities for USDA for over 30 years and was most recently appointed by President Biden to serve as the state of Alabama's Director of Rural Development. Mr. Gordon, I want you to begin first. I want to thank both of our speakers for their opportunity to kick off this important workshop. And now let's hear from State Director of Rural Development, Ivory Gordon.
Thank you, Congresswoman Sewell, for all of your efforts and support in rural Alabama. We're certainly grateful to be here today to speak on behalf of the United States Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture under the Rural Development is a very, very essential partner in helping rural communities. The USDA Rural Development is the lead federal agency in helping rural communities grow and prosper. We've increased economic development and improved the quality of life in many rural places and smaller towns. With more than 40 programs to support rural America, we stand ready to be your partner in prosperity for rural America. We provide loan and grants and technical assistance to build critical infrastructure like broadband, water systems, and hospitals. Our programs expand access to connectivity, electric, and transportation infrastructure, and support business growth, healthcare, education, housing, and other community essentials. Volunteer fire departments. We help support rural communities and nonprofit groups for various types of community facilities. Our community facilities program offers direct loan and grant guarantees and grants to develop and improve essential public service facilities in rural communities across rural America. These amenities can help increase the competitiveness of rural communities in attracting and retaining businesses that provide employment and services for residents. To be eligible for these programs, you need to be a public body, a nonprofit organization, or a federally recognized American Indian tribe. And funds can be used to construct, expand, improve these facilities, and provide. We also can provide healthcare and education, public safety, and public services. Of course, we can do town halls, healthcare clinics, hospitals, daycare centers, assisted living facilities, rehab centers, schools, libraries, and other type community-based initiatives. Our financing will cover the cost of land acquisition as well as professional fees and purchase of equipment. Under these programs, under community facilities, you'll see we have the direct CF loan and grant program, and we have also the guaranteed portion of it. The community facilities also have a relending program, a technical assistance and a training grant. We also have the economic impact grants, and rural community development initiative grant programs. Under the other programs that we have, which will consist of the water and environmental programs, these programs are administered through the Rural Utility Service, and they can help communities to develop good drinking water and wastewater disposal systems. Safe drinking water and sanitary waste disposal systems are vital not only to the public health, but also to the economic vitality of rural America. Rural development is a lead in helping rural America improve the quality of life and increase the economic opportunities in rural people. This program plays a very, very vital role because we can access populations not in excess of 10,000 or less. Certainly, this WEP program provides technical assistance and training to rural communities in relations to their water and waste water activities. This is a great program, and certainly we have greatly utilized this program in portions of the state, in all portions of the state where we have eligibility. So certainly this is a great program. Next, we have the rural electric programs that are administered for renewable energy systems, and also it's a direct program that we can provide services to customers in our rural communities. This is a loan guarantee that finances the construction of electric distribution, transmission, generation facilities, including systems improvements, replacements required to furnish and improve electric services in rural areas. Certainly, this is a good program, and we've had some activities in the state here recently, and certainly we're proud to have those programs. We have the rural telecom programs, which will consist of the Community Connect grants, the distant learning, telemedicine grants. We also have the rural broadband access loan and grant guarantees. We have the telecommunications infrastructure loan and grant guarantees. Those programs are available for our rural customers in rural Alabama. The next program we have is a program that supports rural communities and rural businesses. This program works through partnership with public and private communities based organizations and financial institutions to provide financial assistance to businesses for business development, technical assistance. These programs also provide capital equipment space, job training, entrepreneur skills that can help to start and grow businesses in our state. Business programs also support the creation and preservation of quality jobs in rural America. In this program, we can also do the guarantees and the regular loans. The grants are available to individuals, businesses, cooperatives, farmers, ranchers, public body, nonprofit corporations, Native American tribes, and private companies in rural communities. The financial resources of the business program are often leveraged with those from other public and private credit sources, lenders, to meet the business and credit needs in underserved areas. Funding is intended to help improve the quality of life in rural communities by enhancing economic opportunities and ensuring self-sustainability for generations to come. Under the rural business programs, we have the following programs. We have the BNI Guaranteed Program. That's where you go to a local lender and he would do the guarantee on the particular proposal that you have pending, and she would become the applicant to the agency, and the private individual would be the applicant to the grantor. We also have the rural energy programs, which is called REAP. We have two categories of the REAP program. REAP programs will consist of two qualities. There we have the 20,000 or less, and the one that is less than 80,000. We also have the high blend infrastructure initiatives programs, the intermediary relending program, which we refer to as the IRP. We have the rural business development grants. We have the rural business investment program. We've seen some activities in the state of Alabama through the RBDG program, and so certainly that program can be very well utilized. Many of our municipalities and nonprofit groups have utilized this program as a recruiting incentive to help purchase equipment, infrastructure, and basically this is a grant program that is reimbursable funds are paid after the improvements are put in place. So it's been very well utilized within our program requirements. And we do have several of our RFP actives in the state of Alabama at this point, so that's a real good program also. So certainly those programs are great. Other programs under the rural business program, we will have the rural cooperative development grants. We have the rural economic development loan and grants, which is called Red Leg acronym. We have the rural micro entrepreneur assistance program, which we refer to as the RMAP. We have the social disadvantaged group grants, also the value added producer grants. Next, we have the rural energy programs. The rural energy programs were authorized through the Agriculture Act of 2014, where we offer funding to complete the energy audits and provide renewable energy development assistance. Makes energy efficiency improvements and install renewable energy systems. We have programs that help convert older heating sources to cleaner technologies, produce advanced biofuels, install solar panels, build biorefineries, and much more. USDA Rural Development is at the forefront of renewable energy financing, and with options including grants, guaranteed loans, and payments. These programs will consist of the Advanced Biofuel Payment Program, the Biorefinery Renewable Chemical and Bio-Based Products Manufacturing Assistance Program, the Higher Blend Infrastructure Incentive Program. We have also the Rural Energy of America programs of energy audits and renewable energy development grants. We also have the Rural Energy of America program, renewable energy systems, and energy efficiency improvement loans and grants. One new thing that we did notice, we have the Delta Healthcare Service Grant Program, where The program provides financial assistance to address uh, the continued unmet health needs in the rural Delta region of the United States. And these grants are awarded to promote cooperation among healthcare professionals, institutions of higher education, research institutions, and other entities in the Delta region. These grants are awarded through the national competition each fiscal year. Applications are requested through the notice published in the Federal Register, through the announcement posted on grants.gov. Grant funds must be used for the development of healthcare services, healthcare education programs, healthcare job training programs, or the development and expansion of public health related facilities in the Delta region. Certainly, these programs, we have received several applications across the state, and we're excited about trying to get some of those funded this fiscal year. So certainly, we're excited about this program. I think it could help a lot of our healthcare facilities that are in great need of trying to improve the hospital systems and any type of healthcare systems. To apply for this particular grant, you can utilize the regional institutions of higher education, um, the academic health and research institutes, or economic development entities located within the Delta region. And that gives you the connection that you need to be a part of those groups. The Delta Healthcare Service Grant Program says only Alabama counties who are located in the Delta regions may apply for this grant. And those counties would consist of Macon, Russell, Barbara, Bullock, Lowndes, Butler, Connecticut, Escambia, Monroe, Wilcox, Dallas, Clark, Marengo, Choctaw, Washington, Greene, Hale, Perry, Pickens, and Sumter. Next program I'd like to speak on is our rural single-family housing program, where a homeowner can come in, first-time homeowners, or whether it's an elderly family, it doesn't matter. But we have affordable housing that are essential to the vitality of communities in rural America. Housing programs give families and individuals the opportunity to buy, build, repair, own, or own a safe and affordable home located in rural America. These loans and grants, loan grant guarantees and grants, they're based on income and varies according to the average median income for each area. The interest rates are low, fixed rates that will enable our applicants to become successful homeowners. Basically, financing is offered at a fixed rate, and its returns are through a loan from a private financial institution and guaranteed by USDA. That will cover the guaranteed portion of it. Neither of these home programs will require a down payment. USDA Rural Development also offers competitive grants to public and private nonprofit self-help housing organizations and federally recognized tribes to enable hardworking families to build their own home. The single-family housing loan program is very essential in this country for a long time, and it's a very well designed program to assist people and help them to be able to build net worth and help them to have the sufficient things they need to raise their families in rural America. It certainly has been one of our cornerstone programs, and a lot of our individuals have been able to take advantage of this program, and certainly intend to continue to further those services to our rural communities. Under the rural housing programs, we have the single family housing direct home loan, we have the single family housing guaranteed loan, we have the self-help housing technical assistance grant, and we also have the rural housing site loans that are administered through these programs. We also have the 504 program. This is called the Single Family Housing Repair Loan and Grant Program. This program provides funds to elderly, very low-income homeowners to remove health and safety hazards and perform the necessary repairs to improve and modernize their homes. Also, it makes homes accessible for people with disabilities. Also, the homes are more efficient, energy efficient, so that these very low income families can use less of their income to pay utility bills. We also have the rural multifamily housing program that is being administered on a regional basis at this point. Um, it's being serviced and the portfolio is being managed by our national office on a regional basis. It's a very good program. We have many affordable multifamily housing units across the state of Alabama. And these are to uh, projects are geared to low income, elderly, disabled individuals and families, as well as domestic farm laborers. This program has extended also through the guaranteed program for affordable rural rental housing designed to low and moderate income residents in rural towns across the state of Alabama. We preserve our full portfolio um, of more than 14,000 properties by aggressively restructuring loans in existing rural rental housing and off-farm labor housing projects to allow for sufficient reserves to meet major repairs and improvements over the lifetime of the property. On a yearly basis, this organization has been able to repair and rehabilitate housing for needy families, and we also subsidize rent for low-income tenants in our projects who cannot afford to pay their full rent. So certainly, this program has played a vital role in helping rural residents who are in need of this type of program. Under the rural multifamily housing programs, we have several programs there. We have the farm labor direct loan and grant program. We have the housing preservation rehabilitation demonstration loan and grant program (HPG). And we also have the multifamily housing direct loan. We have the multifamily housing guaranteed loan, and we also have the multifamily housing rental assistance that goes along with those programs. Alabama is divided into 8 district offices um, and 1 state office. They're located in Huntsville, Ozark, Tuscaloosa, Camden, Anniston, Tuskegee, Tubman, Bainette. Um, those offices staffed with area directors and support staff to administer the programs that I just spoke on. Certainly, today has been a very um, great day to speak to Congresswoman Sewell and her staff, and to let the rural partners and communities know that we are here to serve. We're here to assist anyone that's eligible for these programs, and certainly we take pride, and we're going to do our best to administer these programs to the best of our abilities. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Thomas Tope with the SBA.
Well, Ivory, right before we go over to Tom Tope, I just
I'm,
had a few questions for
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. Now, you gave so much great information about, the available benefits as far as grants and loans for the rural area. Just wanted to ask you a few questions. Questions that we usually get within the district office regarding funding with USDA. And so, a couple of the things that you mentioned were the water grant, the wastewater and water grants. And we have so many folks in the rural areas that are in need of that type of assistance. And as far as individuals are concerned, how would an individual apply for some of the um, water grants that you mentioned?
Okay. The water grant programs, or we have created a program in Lowndes County potentially to assist some um, customers with water and wastewater septic tanks, and that's done through the regular WARE program. So we're doing that on a pilot basis to see and create a template to make sure that we have sustainability in that program. Going back to the private individuals, they have a choice of either getting on that type program or they can apply through the regular agency. We can finance septic tanks with the housing loan. However, there has been some concerns over the years that we've had a high level of septic tanks that have failed. And certainly we want to make sure that we comply with those rules and make sure that those dollars are well spent and we don't have a high level of failure. And it's based on soil types and those type things. So certainly we're trying to make efforts there to correct that issue, make sure that the money is just spent that are going towards correcting the problems. And so the programs that will be available to them, they can utilize the 502 direct program to do something on an individual basis, or they can go through the unincorporated water and sewer boards and be able to acquire funding to help with that. We do have a project pending in the Lowndes County area that's it's designed to help those type people to get services and make sure that it's affordable.
Excellent, excellent. Next question that I had was, you gave so much good information, but you mentioned nonprofits and business grants. And so we know that many times when you're applying for federal assistance in various areas, nonprofits and businesses um, have issues with, let's say, matching funds for certain things. Um, is there, when it comes to matching funds, is there any additional assistance for them to get matching funds for some of the assistance for business loans and grants as well as for nonprofit?
Well, we encourage leverage funding. Um, in many instances, some of the small businesses may be able to utilize the RFPs that we have outstanding, which would be a great source to help them. They have a micro loan program that would help some small businesses to acquire funding um, on a probably a reduced interest rate where we can do leverage of funding. And I, I want you to elaborate a little more on your question because in many cases where the small businesses come in, I think that may be covered more under uh, SBA, but we do not have a direct program that's funded for the small businesses. But going back to the grants, is your question centered around the REAP grants or things of that nature?
Right. And so, just in your information that you presented regarding the entrepreneurial programs that you have and startup, that type of thing.
Okay, okay. Yes, the Rural Energy for America program is based on the energy conservation
Mhm.
for that particular applicant. And if they come in and say, for instance, hypothetically, if you have a catfish farmer or a business owner who had some lighting that needed to be replaced, 25% of that, based on the energy audit and energy conservation, could be awarded in a grant from the agency through the REAP program, Rural Energy of America. Now, they would have to come up with some source to come up with the other 75%, but that 25%
Right.
is there, it's available to help them
Okay.
under that particular program.
Okay. Absolutely. That's wonderful.
Okay.
And just really quickly on the single family housing, these are traditional loans secured by federal funds. Is that correct? These are loans, not grants. Is that correct?
Under the 502 program, there's two criteria there. The 504 program is loan grant combination, and some of them are just outright grants. There's a $7,500 lifetime allocation for each applicant. Um, and then there's a $20,000 1% loan that can be granted to them at this point.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So, Mr. Gordon, can you just give our public the public contact information for your agency so that if they have any additional questions, they would be able to reach you all to get those answers?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm Ivory Gordon. I'm the state director. My telephone number will be 334-279-3400. The program director for the community programs is Alan Blaine. His number is 334-279-3617. And for the business program, we have Marsha Johnson. Her number is 334-279-3453. And for the senior family housing program, we have Leah Taylor. Her number is 334-279-3401.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Gordon. This information is so great for our constituents and for everyone, nonprofits in the rural area, individuals, and I really believe that this is going to help folks know where to come, where to go to find this information to get help. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now we're going to hear from the United States Small Business State Director, Tom Tope. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Yolanda, how are you today?
Good. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
No problem. I'll hand it over to you.
All righty. And I will try not to blow up the technology or anything today. So, well, good morning, everybody. On behalf of SBA Administrator Isabella Macias Guzman and Acting Regional Administrator for the Southeast Region, Janita Stewart, I bid you greetings and do thank you for the opportunity to be in the virtual webinar this morning. Let me see if I can share my screen. There. So a couple of things about SBA. You're probably aware that we are a freestanding agency, part of the executive branch of the federal government. Our administrator is nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. The Alabama District Office is one of 68 district offices throughout the country that is operated by the Office of Field Operations. Two other of our program areas that I'll mention are the Office of Capital Access that oversees the loan programs, the Office of Government Contracting, which oversees, as the name implies, the contracting programs, and the Office of Disaster Assistance. And the field offices, the district offices, help support all of those program areas because the SBA has 4 essential areas that we operate and work in, and I call it 3 C's and a D. The first C is counseling. We have available for the entrepreneur at any time during the business life cycle, free counseling and mentoring available. SBA has 4 levels or 4 cadres of counseling assistance. We have the Small Business Development Center Network, SBDC, and there are 10 of those around the state. They are hosted at the 4-year universities, such as Alabama A&M, University of West Alabama, University of South Alabama, University of Alabama in Huntsville, Jacksonville State University. So virtually all of the 67 counties in Alabama are covered by a Small Business Development Center, or SBDC. So if you want information on those, you can go to asbdc.org, for Alabama Small Business Development Center.org, asbdc.org, and get information and find out how to contact them. You can click on the Register Here link, or you can give them a call, the one that services the area where you live, and they will set up I think everything is virtual right now, but they will set up a time to meet with you and counsel you about your project. They can assist you in developing or refining a business plan. They can help with a marketing plan. They can help develop financial pro formas, which are estimates that are needed if you need commercial financing. We also have the SCORE chapter, which is a group of volunteers. And these are folks who have been in business or are still in business and like to pay it forward. So they are volunteers, whereas the Small Business Development Center people are employees of the universities where they're hosted. We have women's business centers. There's one up in Huntsville that's hosted by the Catalyst Center. And then they have opened an outreach center in Clanton. So they had a soft opening a couple of weeks ago. And all of these groups of resource partners can assist you at no cost to you to help get you up and running in your business. And they're available at any time in the business life cycle. Pre-startup all the way through maturity to the end of the business cycle. If you want to get out of the business, if you want to sell it or whatever, you have built up an asset. So I would encourage you not just to close it if you're at that point in the business cycle, but that you could sell it as an asset and they can assist with that. We also have Veterans Business Outreach Centers. The one that services Alabama is actually located in Mississippi, but they serve a multi-state region section in the Southeast region. And they do a great job for veterans as well. And any of our resource partners will talk to any entrepreneur. It's just that some have more specialized audiences. So that's the counseling. That's the first C. And in the district office, we are not really staffed to counsel. We have a staff of 7 right now, soon to add an 8th, we hope. And our job is not to counsel. That's why we have these great resource partners that can help you with whatever it is you need to put together for your business. So counseling is the first C. Second C is capital access. We have loan programs available. I'll talk about grant programs and then loan programs. But the loan programs we have available, we have micro loans up to $50,000. And those are available from SBA licensed micro lenders. We have 5 or 6 of those throughout the state. And typically the way that works is that you would apply directly to the micro lender and they would do the loan underwriting, the loan servicing. They would provide technical assistance to you as you apply for the loan and go through the process. So that's the micro loan up to $50,000. SBA 7A loan is actually made by lenders and partially guaranteed by SBA. Many of you may be familiar with the Paycheck Protection Program loan, the PPP, that was authorized by Congress under the COVID pandemic. And actually, the way that was configured, it was made by a lender, guaranteed by SBA, and then there was a forgiveness aspect to that. So if you applied for and received a Paycheck Protection Program loan and used it for the purposes intended, and then you could apply for forgiveness, and it basically moved from a loan to a grant. We have what's called a 504 loan, and this is kind of a specialized loan. It has a long amortization program of 25 years. So if you have to buy property and get capital equipment for a factory manufacturing process or something like that, the SBA 504 loan program would be a good candidate for that. Whereas the 7A just involves a lender and the borrower and the SBA, the 504 loan also includes another party called a certified development company. The certified development company is a nonprofit entity that's licensed by SBA. And for a typical project, a 504 project, the certified development company will handle 40% of the funding. They will sell a debenture bond to do 40% of the financing. A bank will be involved for 50% of the project. And then the owner typically is in at 10% equity injection into the project. Again, those go up to $5 million as well as the 7A loan. So capital access is the second C. The third C is contracting. SBA assists small businesses to access government contract. By federal law, 23% of federal contracting dollars are set aside for small businesses in different categories, everything from woman-owned small businesses to service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses, 8A, hub zone businesses. Small businesses in different contracting categories can have access to that, and we assist them in that regard. And again, our resource partners at the Small Business Development Centers also have resources called PTAC, which is a Procurement Technical Assistance Counselor. So if you are interested in government contracting, you can contact your servicing Small Business Development Center / PTAC, or also the district office has a monthly seminar. In fact, our contracting seminar is tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So you can go to our website. I'll give you the contact information in a minute about that. So counseling, capital access, and contracting are the 3 C's. I said we do 3 C's and a D. The D that we do is disaster assistance. And much of what people have seen from SBA in the past year and a half, 2 years with the COVID pandemic has been disaster assistance. The programs that were authorized by Congress to SBA under the COVID pandemic included, I mentioned the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP loan. That program has now ended. The money was expended. So further action would be required by Congress to reinstate that program and carry it forward. We also had the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, the RRF, which was a grant program. So if you operated restaurants, then you could apply for one of those and receive that, and it was a grant. It was not repayable. Congress also authorized the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, SVOG. So if you operated a theater or a live theater or movie theaters or some sort of entertainment venue and that had been closed because everything was shut down during the early months of the pandemic, then you could have applied for and qualified for a Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, which was also a grant that didn't have to be repaid. Those programs have now closed. The RRF, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, and the Paycheck Protection Program have all closed down unless Congress reauthorizes them and puts more money behind them. One program that is still available, and I want to spend a few minutes talking about that, is the EIDL program, the COVID EIDL, which is Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, COVID EIDL. So I'll call it the EIDL program. And you may be aware that this was a loan that you could apply for. There was also an advance part associated with this early on that in effect was a grant. But the loan part of the program is still available, and there have been a couple of changes to it that I wanted to talk about. The loan component of COVID EIDL, it's the remaining small business COVID recovery option. And it's beneficial because it's a low interest loan, 3.75% interest, with a 30-year repayment period and a 2-year deferment. So in other words, if you apply for and receive one, your payments are deferred for the first 24 months before you have to begin repayment. And then you have 30 years to repay it, and it's 3.75% interest. So the reduced repayment burden, the longer amortization, the 30 years, results in smaller monthly payments. For instance, you see there a $10,000 COVID EIDL would cost you monthly repayment of less than $50 a month. The COVID EIDL loan has very flexible use. You can use them for normal operating expenses and working capital, and now to include paying business debt. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. It's an accessible application, unlike our microloans and our 7A loans and our 504 loans, which are made by lenders and guaranteed by SBA. The COVID EIDL is a direct loan made directly from SBA to the borrower, and it requires no external financial institution. Because the pandemic has been so widespread, there are about 300 million small businesses in the United States, and there are virtually none of those that have not been affected by the COVID pandemic. So Congress has given us authorization to expand some of the programs and to enhance it. So recently there were 6 policy changes that went into effect in September. There were 6 policy changes affecting the COVID EIDL loan. And this is kind of a busy slide. It's a little intense, but let me break down these 6 changes for you to the COVID EIDL program. First of all, it was in the terms here. If you see on the screen there, you see at the top loan amounts from 1,000 to 25,000, more than 25,000 up to 500,000, and more than 500,000 to 2 million. The things in green on this slide are the new changes, the new policy changes. So the first thing that was changed is that they increased the available amount from 500,000 up to $2 million. The interest rate remained the same, 3.75% for businesses, 2.75% for nonprofits, and the repayment period remains 30 years. Again, the payments are deferred for up to 24 months, so you don't have to start making payments for 2 years. You see the requirements there. This is a commercial loan, so there are credit score requirements, there are background checks. SBA will do a credit pull, and there are other things involved. You see the minimum credit score for the smaller amount of loans are 570, as is the case up to $500,000. There's no collateral or no personal guarantee on the lower dollar loans, but on the mid-range, for collateral for loans over $25,000, SBA will file a UCC1, a Uniform Commercial Code 1, which is a document that remains on file and indicates that there is a lien against business assets. And then personal guarantees are required for loans over $200,000. Over on the far right side, loans from over $500,000 to $2 million, the minimum credit score is 625. The collateral is a UCC1 filing and business real estate, and there is a personal guarantee for more than $200,000. The bottom third of the screen, you see the uses of the funds. Can be any normal operating expense, business operating expense, to include payroll, rent, inventory, raw materials, any variable costs, commercial debt. So you can pay commercial debt. Previously, you could only pay it as it arose. You couldn't do any prepayment, but under these revisions, you can now prepay interest on commercial debt. And also under the revisions, you can repay federal debt. So if you have a guaranteed and direct loan that's backed by the government, you can make regularly scheduled payments utilizing proceeds from a COVID EIDL loan. And you can also finance working capital with proceeds from the COVID EIDL. Affiliation rules get a little complicated because basically to qualify for SBA programs and services, you have to be small. And the definition of small can vary depending on the type of business that you are. For instance, if you're under the normal course of events, if you're a manufacturing, you can have up to 1,500 employees and still be considered small and receive SBA programs and services. If you're a retailer, then it's based on the amount of annual revenue or annual sales. But under the COVID EIDL changes, we have simplified that a little bit so that the affiliation rules have been simplified to be the same that were developed for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. An affiliation simply means that if you have interest in more than one business, then all those things have to be taken together to determine if you are still considered a small business or not. And under the restaurant, for instance, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, we discovered that maybe a franchise owner had numerous locations. So those size determinations were altered so that more people could have access to the funds under that program. The middle bullet there, expand methods of eligibility for industries hit hard by COVID to meet program size standards. Again, to be eligible for SBA loans and other services, then a business has to be small by SBA size standards. And under this change, SBA added NAICS codes, which stands for North American Industrial Classification System. And every business has one or more NAICS codes. Typically, you have a primary NAICS code that is used to define what the predominant activity you have is, whether it's retail sales, grocery sales, automobile, car lot, whatever the case may be. There is a NAICS code for that, and many businesses have more than one NAICS code. So this added more NAICS codes to simplify it, so that if you had no more than 500 employees and were in those NAICS codes and had no more than 20 locations, you could be eligible to receive one of these increased COVID idle loan. And the last thing there, limited total loans to a single corporate group. Previously, there was no limit, but this change is for entities that are part of a single corporate group may not receive COVID idle loans in aggregate of more than 10 million. So, this typically refers to if you have multiple locations, like if you're a hotel or a restaurant or something like that. So, for most people, this won't be a consideration or a problem. This is a list of the NAICS codes and a listing of the industries that are covered by those NAICS codes that last change was talking about. So 500 or fewer employees per physical location, 20 or fewer locations, including locations of affiliates. And you see that this addresses like arts, entertainment, and recreation, accommodation, and food services. It tried to encompass and bring in many of the service industries that were so hard hit by COVID idle. Let's see, more than 500,000 exclusivity time frame for new COVID idle applicants, and there is still time to apply. This program expires December 31st of this year, or when funds are expended, whichever comes first. So there is still time to apply. You would have to go to sba.gov/idle, and that would take you to where you enroll. It's all done online. There is a checklist, and we can get a little more into that. We are doing some idle workshops on our district website, so you can go to those and see information on those. And I will give you the contact information for that in just a couple of minutes. But if you're a new COVID idle applicant, you can pursue one of two paths. You can apply for 500,000 immediately, and then apply for more than 500,000, or you can apply for more than 500,000 immediately. And the term economic injury disaster loan defines what the proceeds of this loan are designed to do. It measures the economic injury that you suffered as a result of the COVID disaster. So the information that you'll have to upload will be tax filings and financial statements for your company that will measure how you did this year versus last year. So it's going to measure the economic injury that you suffered as a result of the COVID pandemic. For over on the right side here, for COVID idle increase for more than 500,000, if you already have received funds and you're eligible to increase it, then you can use those steps. I would caution you, don't submit another application, because that will only come back to haunt you in the end. Just deal with a single application. Just do it once. And if you have technical problems with it or something like that, contact disaster customer service so they can help you, because we've had a lot of people who have gotten entangled in the fact that they maybe thought that they didn't get their application in properly. I know a lot of people have been operating off their smartphones, and sometimes the buttons on a smartphone aren't that big, so people have input erroneous information, have transposed numbers and their social security number, their addresses, things like that, and all those will slow down the process. So I would encourage you to read the instructions on the website and understand what it is you're doing, and check your work as you go. Try not to be too distracted with other things that are going on, because that will pay dividends in the end. And make sure that you have your bank account information, and it's not good to change banks or bank account information in the midst of this process. It's challenging enough, and I'll tell you this, it's challenging enough doing business with the government without throwing new wrinkles in there. So try and get all your information squared away ahead of time. There are checklists that will tell you what you need in terms of what information and what forms you need to submit, what financial records, and just go with that. And we are getting close here because we are in October now, so there's not a lot of time left for this program unless, as I say, Congress extends it, adds more funding to it. But as of now, it expires December 31st, or when the money is gone, whichever happens first. The application timelines, and these may have flexed a little bit because, again, 300 million small businesses are affected. There have been millions and millions and millions of applications received by SBA. And frankly, SBA Office of Disaster Assistance was never designed or staffed to be able to handle a disaster that affected every county and every state territory in the United States. So we're struggling with it, but we're getting there. So 3 weeks for the COVID idle, 6 weeks for the COVID idle application, over 500,000. And then if you do it in the two steps, less than 500,000, and then the increase for more than 500,000, it's going to take longer. And there's kind of a list of the required documents and everything. And I know this is a lot of information that I've thrown at you, but if you go to sba.gov/idle, that's where you need to go. There are FAQs there, website information. There's a sample intake and an intake checklist to show you what you're going to need. There's a thing called the portal, which is where you will actually upload your application to SBA, and SBA will communicate with you regarding your application. The Alabama District Office is closed to the public right now. We're all teleworking, but we are answering the phone live. So you can call us at that 205-290-7101, and somebody will answer it. Our desk phones are forwarded to our cell phones, so we are taking customer calls. There's our email, alabama.districtoffice@sba.gov. And then that last link is our website, and you can go to our calendar of events on the website on our landing page and get information about workshops, idle workshops, and things like that.
Thank you, Tom, so much. That was a lot of information. And again, as always, you present great information to our constituents here in District 7, Congressional District 7. Just a few things. You were mentioning that in the EIDL loans, that it's low interest. It is requiring lower credit scores at this point in time. And you can have a payment as low as $50 a month, depending on, I guess, how much money that you borrow.
Yeah, the amount of the loan.
Right. And so I know that there was initially a timeline on when your business had to have been open. So it had to have been open because these are emergency disaster funds prior to COVID happening. What is that timeline of when your business can open in order to apply for these loans?
That has changed somewhat because this has gone on longer than everybody anticipated. And I would encourage everybody to go to the FAQs on our website to get the exact dates. And I should have it memorized or in front of me, but I just don't. I'm sorry. Or folks can contact the district office and we'll talk to them about it and address it, because we're going to be having these COVID idle workshops like tomorrow and virtually every Friday. So
Absolutely. So we do have that contact information. I'll just ask you to throw out that number again here in just a few minutes. But just another quick question. So some of the calls that we receive is about decision timelines on your application. So you did mention a period of about 3 to 9 weeks in decisions, and just give you all a little bit of time in order for that to happen. After that 3 to 9 week period, what do you recommend that someone that has applied for an EIDL loan, what should they do? What's their best recourse of action?
they should be responsive to whatever they're hearing, emails or whatever from disaster customer service, processing and disbursement center, which is where all the decisions are made. Also, disaster assistance processing and disbursement center in Fort Worth. So, of course, their staff are spread throughout the United States and around the world, for all I know. But disaster assistance handles all the decisions. They have the loan officers, the underwriters. The district office doesn't do any of that. We have the opportunity now where if somebody has an issue, they can contact the district office, give us your application number, and we can look in and see what the status is. But typically what we will have to do is refer them back to PDC, Processing and Disbursement Center, or to Disaster Assistance Customer Service, because maybe they still need a form, or maybe they need something signed, or maybe they had a question that's not resolved. But we encourage them to stay in contact with the disaster customer service, but they can contact the district office and we'll help every way we can, with the understanding that the district office is not in the decision process or anything like that.
Right. And just one last question that we always get, and I know that you always, I'm sure that you always have the same question, and that is as far as grants are concerned, in relation to SBA and grants. We get the question all the time: can we use a grant to start a business? Do you have any answers for that?
SBA does not make grants to small businesses to start up typically. The exceptions were the ones I mentioned: the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant and the Paycheck Protection Program, which was a loan, but it ended up being a grant because it was forgiven. So typically, and as of right now, there are no grants from SBA that can assist somebody in starting up a business. But we do have the microloans up to $50,000 and the 7A loans and the EIDL loans. So that's what we have at the moment, and that could change. Congress may decide that they want us to make grants to small businesses, and if they give us that authority and the money, then we will certainly do that to the best of our ability.
Right, great. And just one last question, Tom. The Shuttered Venue Grant was specifically for venues, theaters, and nonprofits and things like that. Under the EIDL loans, are those agencies such as nonprofits and theaters, are they able to apply for those loans as well?
Yeah, anybody can apply for the EIDL. Again, the Shuttered Venue Grant Program is closed, but
Right.
but what is still open is the EIDL COVID idle loan, and anyone can apply for that.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tom. If you would give us the number to your district office one more time, we appreciate your time, and thank you so much for being with us today.
But our number is 205-290-7101.
Thank you.
In closing, I would like to thank each of our guests for taking the time to present today about the available funding opportunities at the United States Small Business Administration and the United States Department of Agriculture on how one can apply for these opportunities. I truly believe this information will help our communities within Alabama's 7th Congressional District not only survive this pandemic, but thrive. If any of you have any further questions or would like to download this virtual workshop, please visit my website at sewell.house.gov or reach out to our grants coordinator, Yolanda Clayton, at 205-603-9034, or by emailing yolanda.clayton@mail.house.gov. Thank you again for attending today's virtual grants workshop.